Hi there. Welcome to the Ready to Bid podcast presented by the Swicegood Group. I'm your host, Zach Johnson, along with Kyle Swicegood today. We're going to talk about real estate, auctions, and interesting topics. Today is one of those interesting topics. Kyle, I want to pick your brain a little bit about how you transitioned the real estate career, your previous life essentially, into the auction method. A lot of people see the building today. They see the signs out in the yards. They see what it has become. This isn't necessarily an origin story, but talk to me about how you got or how you transitioned into the auction business and how I know a little bit of the background, but how you were essentially forced into it. What has become one of the best decisions of your life?
Yeah, I think to start that conversation, we need to really go back to the beginning. I was born in 1967. And if you look at my father's real estate license, that's the year he got his real estate license. I kind of grew up, if you will, in the business of real estate. In 1980, I was 13 years old, and my dad essentially exited the real estate business because interest rates were 17, 18% for a house mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you that are frustrated over 7.5%, trust me, it's been worse. So Dad got out of the business and got into a variety of different businesses, construction. He owned a motorcycle shop. And when I got married in 1989, I went to work at Food Line headquarters, store planning and the development department. And I learned very quickly that the corporate life was not what I was cut out to work in. And in 1991, I got my real estate license. I was leaving work at 5, driving from Salisbury to Winston by 6, eating a sandwich on the way, and taking class from 6 to 10 on 3 nights a week at that time. I was just a young kid. Opened the real estate business and came out of the box having a fairly successful career, and went through a few cycles, but everything was great. We experienced some wonderful real estate times, but in 2008, that all came to an end.
Yeah.
There was about 6 months that I went and we didn't sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, we were investors in spec homes. So I was sitting on a lot of money on spec homes that were selling like hotcakes in 2006 and 2007. But in 2008, the brakes hit. And I was forced to rethink what I needed to do for a living. It was a terrible time. I mean, I look back on it, and it was a scary time.
Yeah, you don't have to go too far back. In my history as well, I bought a home in October of 2008.
Oh my!
Completely oblivious to anything. Making decent money. Wanted to move out of an apartment. An opportunity popped up. I was underwater on that thing within about a month and a half. And there was no getting back out of it. So I lived it firsthand. You had a lot more on the line.
Yeah. So long story short, we had a couple of spec houses sitting on the ground. I mean, we're talking, one of them was a $500,000 spec home. Prior to that, I will tell you that prior to that, an epiphany, I really feel like it was God tapping me on the shoulder, mm-hmm. saying, you need to get out of the construction business. You need to get out of that. I woke up one night prior to the crash and told Elizabeth, I said, honey, I want to stop building. And we did, but we were left with one house when the crash occurred. And the bank, they called loans left and right, and including this one. And they basically told me, they said, you've got, I don't remember if it was 30 or 60 days to pay off about a $500,000 spec loan. Well, I didn't have it. And the thought of giving a house back to the bank made me sick on my stomach. So we went to work really, really hard, sold that one, and had to take about $30,000 haircut,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't have really. I mean, it dipped into critical savings for us. Fast forward 6 months later, I went to a Rotary function. And in the past, we had been raffle buyers. We had been contributors to the function. But this year, I did not have the money to support the Rotary Foundation that historically we had been a supporter of. But we went anyway. And when we got there, there were so many gifts, not really gifts, giveaways, that somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we had an auctioneer? Man, we could auction these items. I said, hey, I'll be that guy.
Okay.
I didn't know how to call bids at all, but I sold a number of items, and it was terrible. 5, 5, 5, 10, 10, 10, 15, 15, 15, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. Sold $15. But Leon Carter came up to me. He worked for the town of Moxville, and he said, Kyle, have you ever considered going to auction school? This was at Bermuda Run Country Club. This is where the event was. And it was 15 miles to get home. And I thought long and hard for 15 miles. Auction school. Maybe that is an answer. When I got home, I got on the slow speed internet at the time.
Yep.
And I started Googling auction schools. And this was in November. And it was end of the year, and there was nothing available except Repert School of Auctioneering in Auburn, Indiana. Before the next morning, I applied and was planning to go to Auburn, Indiana in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was a fast. I mean, It was a big decision,
and there was no indecision on your behalf.
No, and
were you desperate at that point?
I don't want to call it desperate, but I saw the end of the line coming quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Had complete support from my wife, and I didn't fly up there. I drove because we didn't have the money at the time to drive up there. And it was a long drive. I went up there and went to school. If you know anything about Repert School of Auctioneering, the first day they get you to behind the mic and you have to sell a hoe. It's the oldest auction school in the nation. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auctioneers have sold the hoe.
Okay.
And we sold the hoe. And 2 weeks, 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, they let you off on Sunday to go to church. And 2 weeks later, I had a certificate saying that I was a graduate from Repert School of Auctioneering. Only needed to take the state test, which I had to take yet, I believe, in February. So I had a month and a half, 2 months before I was able to call myself a licensed auctioneer.
Sure. And then do you remember roughly the date that you received that designation or that certificate that North Carolina said you were an auctioneer?
Yeah, that was end of February, as I recall. And it created hope. It created opportunity. And I had no idea what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had I knew how to sell real estate. I'd done it for 2 decades. And, but I went into it with the idea that I was going to be strictly a real estate auctioneer, which if you look at our website and you know into our history, you'll know that we sell a lot of real estate using the auction method. But I had no idea that I would be selling personal property. I didn't really know that until I went to the Auctioneers Association of North Carolina's conference and met Becky Tarleton.
Sure.
And Becky Tarleton said, you need to sell personal property too, because that's the way you get some of the real estate. And that's where that relationship was created. And Becky's been a mentor for our company.
Yeah, for me personally.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, Elizabeth won't be offended by this. I love Becky Tarleton. She is an auctioneer's auctioneer, without a doubt. But
absolutely,
as I look back on that time, I'm able to see where God can take a bad situation and make good out of it. I shifted my career from being a conventional real estate broker to an auctioneer real estate broker. And it's made all the difference in the world. We are now licensed in Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And we've sold, as you know, assets all across those 3 states.
Yep.
And it gave me the opportunity to meet people like you. Let's talk about your story for a second.
Okay. A little bit different than yours.
I think we met in Las Vegas at the racetrack. We didn't really spend much time together, but that's kind of where our paths crossed at the racetrack in Las Vegas. And you and I have a mutual friend, Doug Randolph, who Doug's another one of those guys, kind of like Becky. I will tell you, I love Doug Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do. Doug is a close friend and a good guy. But we later met really more intimately in a duck blind, me, you, and Doug.
Yep.
And we started talking, and it wound up in a fishing boat. Won't you tell me about that?
Yeah. So the little bit of my history, you started at Food Line in your professional career. I started in the racing world, grew up in northern Wisconsin, decided, hey, I want to work on race cars for a living. Dad and I raced back home, dirt track stuff, so it was in my blood. But moved to North Carolina in 2004, did that whole deal, had a great career, loved it. Once the kids came along, marriage and kids, it wasn't as easy to leave, 40 some weeks a year to go to the racetrack. So transitioned into law enforcement, full time for a little bit over 3 years, and decided, you know what, that's well, honestly, it just didn't pay the bills. Being in the South, there's no unions or anything like that. And most law enforcement officers, for those out there that are in the know, are making considerably less than $40,000 a year. Even in this current, economy, you can't buy groceries. Transitioned back into racing because it's what I knew, and that's where I went to work with Doug. And you talked about the Lord sort of, tapping you on the shoulder. I feel like that was a turning point in my life. Doug gave me a chance, didn't know me from Adam, but gave me a chance to work for him. We developed a friendship, a lot of similar interests, the hunting, obviously racing. We both loved it. We just hit it off, and he did invite me to go duck hunting. Hey, we want to come with me and my buddy Kyle. And I remember you being at the racetrack one time, but just another person.
Mm-hmm.
I was focused on work, but we got a chance to hunt together. The fishing trip that we went on, it wasn't a trip. It was just a little day outing, but you really opened my eyes to what you did for a living. And again, I feel like the Lord had his hand in that, tapping me on the shoulder, because slowly my mind began to transition to, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And real estate in the auction business had done well for you. And I thought, you know what, I see a lot of myself in Kyle. I enjoy talking with people. Racing is kind of you don't really talk to anyone. You get told what to do over the radio. A lot of it is you just going about your daily work. But I do enjoy the interpersonal communication side of things. So, yeah, another Lord thing. I felt, I just need to get my real estate license. I'll dip my toes in this thing and just see how it goes. Started going to classes much like you. I would work like a dog all day at the race shop, and then go drive an hour and 20 minutes down to Ballantyne because it was the only class that was available that worked with my racing schedule because we were still gone. So 3 nights a week, I'd drive down, go to class till 10:30 p.m., drive back home, and go to the race shop the next day. Halfway through that course, that 3-month course, the team I was working for announced they're shutting down. And
what timing?
The timing was perfect timing.
Mm-hmm. Probably didn't think that at the time.
Everyone else on the team had a sense of worry. I mean, it's their livelihood, mine too. But for me, it was confirmation. I had immediate peace. I was surprised. There's no indication that it was coming. It was financially driven, like most decisions in racing. But I had an instant peace because I knew I had already laid the groundwork out. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I knew the direction I was going. A lot of the other crew members were interviewing with different teams and trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle. I didn't go to a single interview. I called you, said, Kyle, this is going to be a full-time gig instead of a part-time gig. So that November of 2017, which is hard to believe, is coming up on 9 years. I jumped in with both feet, got my real estate license. Unlike you, I didn't go to an auction school. We went with the apprentice auctioneer route in North Carolina. So I studied underneath you for 2 years, went through all the requirements, the bid calling and the accounting, basically all the things you need to know. But you've been a mentor, not only in the auction business, but in my life for the past 9 years. And
It's hard to believe it's been 9 years.
it is. We've both gotten older, but we've both gotten wiser. The company has grown. It doesn't look, kind of like you alluded to, it doesn't look like it did 9 years ago.
No.
Staff-wise or what's on the website. It was predominantly real estate auctions. We've changed. We've not turned a different page, but we've honestly, with the market demands, we see the need for estate auctions, business liquidation auctions, whatever it may be on the personal property side of things. We're a service industry. We are there to serve our clients and what they want. We try to give them.
Did we catch any fish, a big fish that day?
I don't think I caught a single fish. I remember getting snagged on a dock or two. But no, I was there to listen, not necessarily to fish. I think secretly you had an ulterior motive. I don't think you were there to fish either.
You were being interviewed. But since then, let's talk about big fish.
Yeah.
You excelled in real estate. What's some of the big fish you've caught since you've been with us?
The ones that stand out to me are obviously the big fancy, noteworthy sales, some of the multi-million-dollar auctions, the million-dollar auctions, but the ability to help people that I didn't know before. I have a good friend, Dr. Robert Warren, was able to meet him because I was able to help his parents and then help his family. I've met people in the auction business that I would have not met otherwise, whether it be, again, estate type situations, whether it be a seller that was almost in the position that you were with that spec home. They needed to sell or the bank was going to take it. We offered a solution to get it sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And you can see that the relief that we brought on their life. Yeah. And I know I've personally contributed to the quality of life for so many people. That's what I remember, not necessarily the dollar amounts.
Better than the commission.
Absolutely.
It's better than the commission.
Because those friendships, almost at the beginning, 8 years ago when I started with you, my very first auction, I still maintain a relationship with that seller today. And we had coffee last week. And so that means more to me than anything else.
One of my mentors who I met one time, Zig Ziglar, said you can get anything in life you want if you'll help enough people get in life the things that they want. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. I mean, I saw him live probably 6 times starting in 1991. And he always said that, and it stuck in my brain. It just stuck in my brain. Well, the story is interesting. I'll end with, where did Ready to Bid come from?
Yeah.
So we had a website, Swicegoodgroup.com. Some of you know how to spell it. Some of you don't know how to say it. But Swicegood was a very complicated website address to have.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth and I were at home. We were in our laptops trying to come up with an alternative name. Bidhere.com, taken. Auction.com, taken. ReadyTOBid.com, taken. Elizabeth said, what about the number 2? And I'm like, well, let's try it. Sure enough, it was available. And from that day forward, I bought the web address, ready2bid.com, and it has served us incredibly well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and the sky's the limit.
The sky is the limit. Guys, I really appreciate you listening to this personal story from both Zach and I. It's you can do anything. My dad used to tell me you can do anything in life that you want to do if you're willing to take the sacrifice. And sacrifice is what it's taken to grow the company that we've got today. And if you're interested in an auction, talking about it, maybe want to see if it meets your needs, I want you to reach out to us. You can see our contact information in the show notes, or you can visit us today at ready2bid.com. Zach, enjoyed it.
As always, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us today.